Hi, I'm Lara.
I'm Brock.
And welcome to TEFL Talk. Hi, welcome back to TEFL Talk. I'm here with my co-host, Brock Brady.
Hi, everybody. How you doing?
And today we are going to talk about how to localize a lesson. So that's quite a mouthful. Localize a lesson?
It's a little long and things like that.
It is. But it is a great thing. It's a great topic. So Brock, what does it mean to localize a lesson?
You want to make learning easy for your students. So the more familiar that something is, the more it relates to their daily experience, the less they'll have to think about what the context is, and the more they can think about the communicative purpose and the structures that they're practicing. What you don't want is the context to distract from the lesson. Imagine you're working with some middle school students in a poor rural area, and you had this great lesson that you used with another audience one time, and you're trying to teach them small talk. But the small talk example that other time that works so well for you is about two international businessmen. So two international businessmen, they've met and they're trying to have small talk so that they can build up some relationships. And one of the businessmen talks about jet lag. Well, I'm not sure that any of those students in that rural village know what jet lag is. Now, possibly I can explain it to them so they can kind of understand. They won't ever have had the experience of it. But by the time I've done that, they've completely lost track of anything else we were thinking about or doing. And, small talk is kind of a subtle sort of concept to get across. So you've just kind of wasted everybody's time. So you have to set your location, you have to set your context with things that students can relate to so they can think about what they're trying to communicate.
Great. Well, when you put it like that, it seems like a no-brainer. And you actually just contextualize this for me, because as an English teacher who has taught small talk before, I can kind of clearly see how this example would fall flat if I didn't localize my lesson for the particular audience.
Well, thank you. That's exactly what you're trying to do for your students. And I want to insist that it's not just a matter of situating a location. You need to think, for example, about your student's age. You wouldn't want to use a TV show for primary school students with a secondary audience or things like that. You need to think about whether your students are represented in terms of gender, in terms of race, in terms of status. You want to make something that's relevant to them, something they can relate to. Just to give you another example, if you're teaching in Cambodia and you want to teach language to use to talk about holidays, probably Thanksgiving is not your best option. Best to talk about some Cambodian holiday, and again, the students will be able to concentrate more on what the language is they're trying to learn and the communicative purpose that it solves.
So Brock, do you have any tried and true examples, maybe activities that our savvy TEFL Talk viewers can take away and use in their classroom, maybe even today or tomorrow?
Sure, and these are kind of low context activities to begin with, so they're easily adaptable. I think the first activity you can think about, and these all kind of can line up together, is do a community mapping project. And so you have a piece of paper, or maybe you can save your blackboard to another class where the students come in and they draw all the features that are important to them of their community, and they label the features, the maps, the roads, the places they go and what they do there. And so they're participating in the sense that they're labeling everything that's important to them in English. But then you can go another step and use that community map for practicing prepositions, for giving directions, for learning how to describe different locations and what their importance is. So you can build many lessons off of that community map.
Oh, that's great. So one activity, so many uses. And I think an added benefit is if you as the facilitator are new to the community, you're going to learn a lot from the activity. I mean, you're going to learn where all the hot spots are. You're going to maybe find a new grocery store. Who knows?
And in some ways, the students are developing a whole new perspective on their community because they're describing it to somebody else.
That's great. What about another one?
Well, I'm glad you like it. I mean, one of the things about being localizable is,
Well, I gotta stop you there. Is localizable a word?
well, I think if localizable is understandable and pronounceable, it's defensible, isn't it?
Ooh. All right, you got me. With so many ables, I'll give it to you.
Okay, you're very convincible. Another thing that's good to do is you can send students out on assignments and have them listen and look for English. They might be hearing some English at the internet cafe. They might be seeing English on some products, or maybe there's a movie in town that's English with dubbing or something like that, so that they become more aware of how English is being used in the community. But in addition to that, it's also a way that you can make lessons that you have more relevant to what they're doing in their lives.
Sounds to me like a great field trip opportunity as well. And everybody likes to get out of the classroom, and I think seeing English gives people, the sense that there really is a purpose behind what they're learning.
That's right. I mean, it's good for the students. The community sees that there's something going on there. The students are getting some benefit out of it. And community engagement is really important. So that's another thing you can do is, if by chance there's adults in the village that speak a little bit of English, shop owners, people like that, why, maybe you can get them in the game too. Maybe you can have the students come visit them. Let's say if you have a restaurant owner, they could come to the restaurant and practice ordering, something like that. If somebody at the bank spoke English, they could go there and practice English talking about banking, things like that. So that's another very good way to make English seem to be more communicative and more related to the community.
Yeah, and how motivating for students to see people within their own community using English as a part of their daily life, and also as a source of opportunity. Brock, I think we have time for one more activity. Do you have one last one you want to share with our viewers before we say goodbye?
Yeah, I do. I just pick up something we said in another session, is that it's really important for students to have an opportunity to speak about themselves and to speak about their lives. And so again, you can talk about family relationships, you can talk about student interests, the sorts of things that they hope to be able to do. And again, the contextualization there, it makes it very English a part of their lives. So I think that can add a lot.
Great. Well, Brock, you have once again done it. You have made localizing a lesson, as much of a mouthful as it is, sound pretty easy. So as a review, here are the 4 activities that Brock shared, ready for you to use in your class. Number 1 is to make a map of the community and use it for a variety of conversation prompts and vocabulary building opportunities. Number 2 is to have students identify where in their communities they can see or hear authentic English. Number 3 is to work with an English-speaking business owner and have students practice purposeful interactions. Number 4, last but not least, have students describe their families, their interests, and their aspirations. And if you happen to use one of these activities, we'd love to hear how it went. So leave us a comment below.
Lara, you've done it once again. Another great job. I really appreciate it.
I just asked the questions.
Yeah. But you set me up for the answers, and that's what counts.
Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you for another episode of TEFL Talk.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching TEFL Talk. If you want updates on new episodes, be sure to subscribe.
Do you have a great idea for a show topic?
Or maybe you just want to say hey. Either way, we would love to hear from you.
Whether you're joining us from Morocco or Ecuador,
Or Mozambique or Ukraine,
just leave us a comment and let us know. Thank you very much.